Hey y'all! Welcome back to the North and the South. Welcome back to my channel, a community of modern witches and witch-adjacent folks interested in magic, witchcraft, and spirituality of the North. Today we're talking about something really fun, plant spirit communication. To begin with, in the Northern tradition, it's an animist belief system. So animist comes from the Latin word anima, meaning breath, spirit, life. And what it essentially is that a foundation of the Northern tradition belief system is that there is a spirit in every plant, animal, inanimate object like rocks, and even in places. And this is important because what that means is that there are spirits in all things, and that all things can be communicated spirit to spirit. So the really cool thing about animist belief is that it looks like science is actually catching up. There's a really amazing book that I highly recommend if you haven't read it called The Secret Life of Plants. And in this book, researchers attach biofeedback machines to plants in order to study whether they can elicit a response from the plants when there is stimuli given. So one of the things that they do is they start to see that plants, when fire comes near, they have a response. Or when they are in a room where a person is very distressed, there's a response. They even find that over time, plants form a connection with their owners, and they have the ability to feel feelings from the owner as they send them to the plant. They even try this really cool experiment where they decide, okay, how far away can a plant connect and it feel and respond to emotion that is being sent back to the plant? And it's up to 700 miles away. They take the plant and they stick it inside of a lead-lined box, right? So there's no electromagnetic interference. And the person goes away 700 miles and sends love back to the plant. And the needles on the biofeedback machine show that there's a response. So the really amazing part of all of this demonstrates that plants are incredibly sensitive, incredibly communicative, and incredibly psychic in the way that they communicate and connect with us. And let me also say that if you haven't seen plants make music, you need to Google it, y'all, because it's amazing. So I wanted to share 4 things with you that I've learned about plant spirit communication. You know, there's a lot of information out there about it, but these are 4 things that in my working with plants and communicating with plant spirits that I've learned. So the first thing I would say is that plants are always reaching out to communicate with you. And the trick is to be aware of the fact that they're doing that. Have you ever been walking along and all of a sudden you get just hit with the wave of a scent off of a plant? That's a plant saying, hey, hey. Or have you ever felt like you walk the same way, same path, and every time a plant can't help but brush up against you? That's another way that a plant is reaching out to communicate with you. And finally, when you see a big iridescent, bright blue, purple, or whatever color flower, that's showboating. They are trying to call you out and say, hi, I'm here, let's chat. I think the thing that's important to kind of realize is that even though they don't have any senses, they're appealing to your senses in order to reach out to you to communicate. 2, when you're communicating with trees, they really like to have some physical contact. So be sure that you've got your physical self in contact with a tree, whether it means leaning against the trunk or just putting your hand around a sapling as you're communicating with it. It seems like this plant spirits of trees are easier to sort of make contact with when you're in physical contact with the plant itself. 3, plants love to chat. They love to chitter-chatter. I have this whole group of plants and I water them in the morning and the evenings because it's quite hot right now. And I swear it's like it's so much communication happening to me and also between themselves that it's almost like it's a whole talkathon. If you're trying to communicate with an individual plant, it can get quite difficult in this sort of a setup because you end up with an enormous peanut gallery chattering along in the background. 4. You're going to find a similarity and a difference between the types of plants settings, even if it's the same kind of plant. So you're hiking along, you find California poppy, you sit down with the stand and you do some plant spirit communication. You may get some really interesting communication and messages from it, but then you go home and you sit down with the California poppy that you've cultivated from seed, and the messages may be different and similar. And that's always interesting to understand that the relationship that you have with the plant is going to deeply influence the type of plant spirit communication that you're going to have with it. I want you to experience the fun of plant spirit communication. Now, maybe it's winter while you're watching this, who knows, or maybe you live in an urban jungle, or maybe you don't even think you have time. But that's okay, because I'm bringing the plant to you because it's still summer here, and I still have you for at least a few more minutes. So sit back, relax, take a couple big deep breaths, and get ready. I'm going to guide you all along the way. Just allow yourself to sink into contact with the earth for a moment. And then take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And another deep breath in and a deep breath out. And notice the details. The movement of the flower in the wind, the dancing of the leaves and the light as it dabbles. And then open your mind and maybe introduce yourself to this moonflower. What message might you have to share with this plant spirit? And become aware, receptive to perhaps what this plant spirit has to share with you. And thank this plant spirit for the time that it's spent with you. And send it love. And with one final deep and releasing breath, release. So did you have fun? Did you feel like you connected with the plant spirit or the anima of the moonflower? Did they have something important or interesting to say to you? Or maybe you just got a moment of quiet and peace and relaxation. Either way, you're on your way to enhancing your own plant spirit communication. And I encourage you to do it wherever you get an opportunity, even if it means just walking down the street and hugging the next tree just to say hi. Thanks for joining me today at the North in the South, and we'll see you again soon.